Hello, it's your boy Tommy T here. Today, I'm really just going to talk about, well, I shouldn't say today technically, but in this video, I'm mostly going to talk about Smegolia. At the end, I might do something a little special, but mostly, I'm probably not going to get time to. But I'm mostly, just going to do Smegolia and, geography of it, maybe a little bit of the history of it. So there's that. And actually, if I do get time, because I only get 15 minutes, so I might show you the language of it, called Smegolian. Actually, I have a lot of other languages I might show y'all too. But that being said, um, they're called conlangs, made up languages. But that being said, though, um, yeah, I just want to say a quick thing, real quick. Yeah, two things before I really dive into this. Case, I really do believe the Earth is flat. I mean, it's in the Bible. I'm not the only one. I mean, obviously, at the school that most likely believes in that. Uh, Dang, I can't even think of his name now. But you know that kid that always talks to Rosante. I'm probably gonna feel stupid because I can't remember his flipping name. But yeah, he knows that the Earth has a dome on it. So it's in the Bible. I mean, if you don't want to believe it, whatever. But yeah, that's for Case and really anybody else. Another thing is the people who are subscribed to this channel and that I'm probably associate in general that I feel are pretty nice people. They're so extremely, but not Jaquan, big black behind, fat rolls on my neck. I really want a waist trainer. Head ass. Anyway, yeah. That being said, though, um, from now on we're gonna be called the Highwoods family. So basically, all the subscribers, I will be calling y'all the Highwoods family. So anyway, so half of the Highwoods family is probably not going to enjoy this, but whatever. So this is Smegolia. Now, again, you heard the reading of it, which was the creation. That was the lore how Smegolia came about. It's called a con world. Conworld. It's not like a con, like that type of con, but con stands for constructed. Look it up. Really worlds that are not of our own, not necessarily alien worlds, even though I don't technically believe in outer space, but you know what I'm trying to say. But more or less something in another dimension. Really, yeah, something like that. Maybe even beyond another dimension, just in a whole other universe. You know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, kind of like Narnia or something like that. Anyway, I'm just going to really talk about the geography of it and a little bit more about it. So there's actually there's 28 islands. Now I have about 6 of them that are really populated with Smegolians. There are a few more, but I could really split it into 2 types of the islands. And these islands actually I just came up with mostly through making, because again, like I said, I have a lot of other stories and story ideas, and these really were supposed to be like for a video game, but I kind of repurposed them. Actually, they were really in a book that I had, and then it was meant to be for a video game, and I repurposed them. Regardless, uh, yeah. So that being said, you could really classify islands as kind of 2 types in this world. I don't know if it's going to be an official classification, but you have your biome islands and you have your resource islands. Biome islands are basically islands that are based off of biome. So, like, you can see up there, and I don't have all the islands up. This is something I pulled up to kind of give y'all an example. You like have desert, biome, desert, wetland, savanna, Arctic, whatever, stuff like that. And the resource is usually kind of moderate, so it would probably be more like a grassland, but without the grass, not desert, or like a wasteland, I guess. But with a few exceptions, like Food Island, but it's full of resources, but it's not really based on like a biome. There would be a third type, and it would be like a creature island, and there might be a third type, but really that was in another game that I had called that I plan to have called Survival 101. So there's only two types: resource and biome. Again, like resource biome is based off biome island is based off a biome, and a resource island is based off a resource. Um, Now that's really the geography of it. Also, I should say, since they're islands, there's really no continents per se. The biggest continent I would have to say is around the size of Texas, a little bit bigger actually, around 1,000 miles in diameter. And it's at the top. Well, since their world is flat, it's in the middle. I should say it's in the center, like our world. Anyway. It's in the center. They also have a second kind of continent, if you will, uh, but it goes around the edge of Smegolia. Anyway, yeah. So there's really no continents, but if you technically want to consider them continents, there's really only two, barely that, because yeah. Anyway, yeah. So the next subject I'm probably going to talk about is what we call ages. Now, at first, I was going to have ages and eras mean the same thing, but I think I actually have a better way of doing it. Okay, ages are. Let me show you. Because I know y'all are getting confused. Y'all probably are bored. Half of the Highwood family, then probably dropped out. But for those who enjoy this type of stuff, listen, there it goes. Now, this is not fully done yet. I actually have to add the fifth era to it and the destruction era. Well, I should say, let me correct myself. I have to add the fifth age and the destruction age to it. But you see, this is just all the stuff that happens in their world. So you see what we talked about last time with the creation eras. Well, damn, I keep saying that. With the creation age, just know when that's me slipping up. An age is a broad term, and an era is like a part of an age. So this is the creation age, and these little parts. So sun, moon, and created. Each lasted for 100 years. So there's 7 eras or 7 parts to it. Um, but when I really talk about lore, the next part we're going to actually get into will be it's going to be Rapiola and biscuits. I messed it up. It's going to be the first age. Now, the thing that you might get kind of confused on is you said there's an era before that. Technically, there is, but you don't really. The only time you really don't call them an age is if something major happens, and there's only 2 times that happens, which is I should say something really, really major. Creation, creation age, and the destruction age. For the most part, though, that that uh that rarely happens. So it only happens 2 times. Um. Anyway, so there's five ages in it. There's the first age, which is basically equivalent to our supposed prehistoric kind of Stone Age. There's the second age, which is basically like medieval stuff. Uh, there's That's the second age. If I said third age, I messed up. That's the second age. The third age is kind of like like Columbus times where they were selling out and they supposedly conquered North American stuff. Well, it's the third age is like that, but if you mixed it with like the 1800s, kind of. The fourth age is basically like the 1900s to now, and that's the fourth age, and the fifth age is just like the future. Usually like 20 minutes into the future. Not literally, but you know what I mean. So there's that. This is just a little timeline I have. Uh, Something I wanted to talk about in this video, but I'll probably get to it later because I do want to have a little bit more lore. out there. I want to at least get to the first age and get that done with. Is there's this character, and it really is a deity, but I guess technically it's a character called Good Son. Technically, Good Son is the son of good God. Now it's kind of confusing because you heard me say that good God made bad God, so technically that would be like a son, and I can understand it. But technically, yes, it is kind of his son, but really he made him more as a brother or a friend more than like a son. Kind of like what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you couldn't have a relationship like that with your child. I'm just saying it was more of a brotherly type thing, if you will, a friend. But when he made Good Son, it was more of like a child, and really it's kind of I got inspired by Christianity, obviously, and a little bit from Zoroastrianism. Look that up if you can spell it. It's like Zoro asterism, but Zoroastrianism, you should find it. It's a pretty interesting religion, and that's kind of where I got the 7 H's from, somewhat. That inspiration from it. But yeah, Good Son came down because see what happened again. I don't know if you heard about it. Bad Son basically hijacked Smegolia, and took control over it and put evil and stuff in it. But Good Guy, he wanted to kind of stop this. So with all his might, his energy, his mana, if you will, he uh he kind of allowed it to be tempered by him now, and Good Son could get in, and he actually had what I refer to as 7 holy acts. I guess you could also call it 7 supernatural acts, but I feel like holy acts sound better. He has 7 holy acts. I'm not really going to get into them too much detail right now. I'll get into them in more detail later. But basically, all this is 7 things that he did were holy or supernatural, if you will. Well, and that's why I said supernatural was going to be his name at first, because technically they're not of normalcy, but holy just sounds better. Bioluminescence was his first one. His second one was object creation, which is basically he just made objects with his spirit energy, in a sense, out of nothing. Not even he didn't convert the air into the object. He just literally made it out of his spirit energy, in a sense. The third act was super strength, and then I think his fourth act was super speed. Then his fifth act was death touch, and this is when in Forest Island, and I'll get into the islands in detail later. But in Forest Island, there was this beast because when everything got corrupted in the first age, and it's kind of like in the Bible, with Nephilim and stuff. When everything got corrupted in the first age, bad God kind of corrupted life forms and turned them into monsters. Well, technically, there was an event that was similar to the flood of the Bible, called the Great Disaster, and it killed most of them, but few of them were around. There's this group called that I call them the Tanamulis, which is trying to take over the world for bad God, and they basically they had got some of the DNA because a few of them are left and hibernating, if you will, and they brought them. They kind of made a hybrid of the monsters. This was actually in the second age, so they had advanced tech way before all the other Smegonians did, and they made them, and good guy, good not good guy, good son had to travel. See, there's a lot of stuff. This is why I didn't want to tell y'all earlier, because there's a lot of stuff that you have to know beforehand. And actually, I got some of the holy acts wrong, so I'm sorry about that. I got some of the holy acts wrong, but you know what? I'll get into that later. Because see, there's a lot more background and stuff that you need to know. I said I was going to do a voice impression in this video, but I'll give y'all a treat. I will make, and I don't know if it's going to be based on my another one of my works called The Pilot. This is not lore for it. The lore is over for it. But it's probably going to be something that I do real quick. But it's going to be like a short little story. I don't know. It might be like a battle royale or something. But regardless, again, the 15 minutes is approaching. So this was just a little bit of lore of Smegolia. And so yeah. See you next time. This is Tommy T. See you later to the Howard family.